Hello everybody, it's the Historical Gamer once again, and we're returning to Grand Tactician: The Civil War, episode number 23 in our Let's Play series of the Whiskey and Lemons DLC. In our last episode, we weren't technically promoted to Lieutenant General, but we did take command of what is effectively a corps, a 2-division army, the Department of Virginia. We transferred our Butcher Division into the department, built an army of about 24,000 men, and added a cavalry division, and are now in process of about to fight our first battle. So that's where we find ourselves now, north of Fredericksburg, about to engage an enemy force of about equal number, and we'll see how this all plays out in today's episode. This was taken from a live stream on my Twitch channel. If you're interested in following those, there's a link in the description. But let's not dilly-dally, let's jump right into this fight. Okay, so we're on the battle deployment phase. Our scouts report the enemy is near Stafford Courthouse, Virginia, and our army is to prepare for battle. We're facing the Army of the Peninsula under command of John B. Magruder with a strength of 15,000 men and 17 guns. I think there's some reinforcements also. The enemy army is experienced, and the morale is reported to be confident, indicating their supply situation is outstanding. The supply situation of our army is outstanding. Didn't give me any other information about our force. Department of Virginia, 1st Division, Butcher Division, and Cavalry Division. They're all here. I think they're all fairly experienced. I know the Butcher Division is. I'm not sure about these other guys. I guess we'll find out. But let's go ahead and jump in. Our prestige is up to 1,200. Not sure why. We're fighting on the Fredericksburg map, which seems appropriate. We're close-ish to the Fredericksburg area. All right, this is just a whole... Let's go to me. All right. Hello, why am I picking individual? I thought I selected me, but just trying to find the army commander so I can issue general orders to the whole force. There's Butler, Cavalry Division, 1st Division, Butcher Division, and little old me, Major General Matthew McCormick. All right, let's go ahead and there you go. There's our formation, guys. We've gone from commanding a single regiment in this campaign to commanding this glorious formation here. Let's go ahead and zoom in and look at what we've got to work with. This is the formation, the Historical Gamers army. It's not the biggest army on the map or in the game. It's not even technically bigger than the rebel forces that Intel says is arrayed against us. But boy, does that look sexy. Just the lines and lines upon blue, the artillery's, wagon wheel to wagon wheel. Just a beautiful force here. Takes up almost the whole deployment area. This map, the objective is down here to the southwest near the Owens house. So that is likely where the rebels will deploy. It is foggy. It is 58 degrees, so fog limits the visibility, which means troop movements will be harder to detect. Artillery long-range fire is less accurate, however, so that's something to keep in mind. We will need to cross the Rappahannock River to get at the Rebs. There are a number of fords here near Beck's Island. There's a dam here near Falmouth. There's some forts. That's probably the most logical place to cross. The one problem is now that we've got this formation, as large as it is more unwieldy, right? Like you probably can't push the whole formation down one road. Now it is 1,700 hours at night, so that is also something to consider. It'll be nightfall before long, but let's get these boys moving. All right, so let's go ahead and hit the play button, and then let's get the cavalry moving first. So Butler, go ahead and secure the crossing. Get your troops down to. I'm assuming most of the Rebs are down here, but we don't know that for sure. Let's go ahead and get your boys out toward the Orange Plank Road. I'm thinking, so if this is the enemy position, there's really one main road that comes down here. There's woods on both sides of it. There's also some high ground they could be deployed on. I'm thinking it makes sense to bring the army down this main road and maybe have some boys flank wide out towards Salem Church. There is a red indicator here, so new reinforcements that the Rebs have them could arrive on over here into the Orange Plank Road. So let's actually do this. Let's go ahead and have the 1st Division under Stone deploy over here on the Orange Plank Road or near Salem Church, just in case. They have 11,000 men with them. They'll cross these creeks, but then they'll follow the river road. And then the 2nd Division, or the Butcher Division, will deploy on the Orange Plank Road, but further over to the right flank, closer to Fredericksburg. That way they will cross, and then they will move this direction, so they will use different roads once they're across. And then Butler's cavalry, I guess, will guard the flank and the approaches from the south of Fredericksburg, so they'll hug east. Now the problem is they're all going to still have to cross at the same ford, but that can't really be helped based on the deployment on this map. Troops closer to me move more quickly, so the closer you are to the character, which is me right here, the faster you get the orders. And you can see everybody's going to probably bunch up here on the fords, but again, it's 1,700 hours, so the more movement we can make, the better, I think. As those troops cross the ford, you can see they're kind of scattered. You got a brigade here, 2 regiments here, 2 regiments here, 2 regiments here, but at least the congestion lessens once troops start splitting, because once you get across that ford, then there's 3 different roads those 3 divisions will travel on. So that hopefully will make things move a little bit more quickly once the troops are across. And we're going to have nightfall here before too long. I'm hoping I'm not setting myself up to be too separated from these troops as to not be able to issue commands to them. I'm going to go ahead and order my commander to ride out toward Orange Plank ahead of the rest of the troops to try and keep this cone, which is sort of my area of influence, over as many of my troops as possible. So far, no detection of the enemy, which is kind of what I expected. I assume the enemy deployed to the south. Right, there you go. End of day. Troops are resupplied. Doesn't really matter. Nobody used ammo. Infantry ammunition. This is interesting. So we have a much more detailed quartermaster report at the end of the day, I think. Army supply situation is mediocre. Supply trains reached almost all of the units, and the supply level is 67 out of 100. Infantry ammunition is sufficient. Artillery is sufficient. Provisions for 5 days. Forage for 4. So, are these guys still following their previous orders? They are. Now, we don't know if additional enemy troops showed up on the Orange Plank Road, so there is a risk of that. Where's Butler? Shouldn't you be with your cavalry down here? There he is. All right. So Butler, let's go ahead and get you a little bit further down on the Orange Plank Road. I can't just deploy you, or can I? I can. All right. So First Division can deploy further here. So they'll see if there's any rebel troops on the way. 2nd Brigade. Or sorry. Where's the other division? I guess this would represent like a night march. I don't know if it influences the experience they have or whatever. I do have some engineering points, but actually we can deploy here. So there's a road from Lee's Hill down toward where we think the enemy will probably be located. I'm guessing this sort of straight line of deployment means there's some zone of control being pushed back on us from here. So there's probably no enemy troops at Orange Plank, given that this is a circular position here. just based on the way the game works. Intel says the enemy has 25,000 troops, so we're going to be attacking an enemy formation that is about our size, which is, you'd prefer to be on the defensive in that scenario, but oh shit. So we deployed this division here, and the enemy's already, we were right that they were pushing against our zone of control. I didn't expect the enemy to just be sitting here. Okay. These guys are not in range to shoot, right? They're not. I guess that means our artillery is going to engage them. Let's have our cavalry come down here and scout the flank of the enemy position. And then Stone's division, I suppose, we'll see if they can just fall on the enemy rear using this road, this major road that runs behind the telegraph road. Meanwhile, we'll hold the first division in place and hope the enemy doesn't try and flank us. So we're going to have a nice little artillery barrage. The one bad thing here is these troops are in the open, so we will be exposed to enemy artillery fire while the enemy is behind earthworks. These aren't just breastworks, these are earthworks. It'll be interesting to see if the enemy tries to attack us while we're in the open. They are pushing some troops forward up on this hill. I do not want to attack this hill straight on, not with them in trenches. We're going to extend some of these double lines to guard against an enemy attack against my artillery. Yeah, looks like the Rebs might be coming out for an attack, at least against my artillery, which I need to fix, but we've got an open field fight brewing here. If the enemy attacks here, though, with all their force, they will outnumber me. So we really need that other formation to, that other division to arrive. But it looks like they're split up too. The Butcher Division's the one in the south, so these are the more experienced troops. They're set to long-range fire, which I think they're better with their ammunition conservation if you switch them to medium. But in this situation, I think just trying to hold them off makes some sense. Let's refuse this position. These guys are in cover at least. We've got a couple of regiments in combat with enemy cavalry or infantry here. I'm going to try and engage the enemy who's pushing in on my artillery to prevent them from routing my artillery too easily. Maybe we can push back this brigade. Meanwhile, it looks like some skirmishers pushing forward here on this flank. At least notionally secured our flank here by putting these 4 cavalry regiments to the north. Butler's 2,600 boys. I don't know if this is glitching out. This cavalry seems to be doing some weird stuff. We do have 3 or 4 regiments here engaging these enemy troops as they try and come at our cavalry. And it is nice that the enemy's still mounted up, which means they will take more casualties because their troops are mounted on horseback still. The bulk of the enemy troops seem to be hanging back in their earthworks. There also do appear to be enemy troops dug in on this hill to the north. First Division's gonna form up here, north of Alum Springs, and try and attack into the flank or rear of whatever this enemy formation is here. We've Got about 3 regiments deployed out front of our troops here, which we were doing a good job of shooting to pieces here. Enemy cavalry looks like they're trying to dismount, but they're under fire, so they are taking heavy losses while they do it. You can see the 2nd Florida Cavalry is already retreating after losing 150 men. So we'll at least break apart 1 brigade worth of enemy troops at very favorable casualty rates. 16th New York's going to go ahead and try and charge these skirmishers to drive them off. I don't want to waste all my ammo dealing with skirmishers. I may have to order them to retreat, though, to stay out of the line of the enemy. Let's dismount these boys, because I'm getting my cavalry shot to pieces a bit here without shooting back. Two regiments of dismounted cavalry forward here to deal with the Gordon's detachment of skirmishers while we wait for the other division to come in. Meanwhile, Charles Smith's 16th New York doing good work driving off these skirmishers. Still out of range of the enemy troops up in the fortifications by the looks of it. So driving back the skirmishers without bringing on a general engagement. Good job, sir. He's low on ammo. Corbert's already low on ammo. Enemy brought an artillery battery forward with their attack in the south. I think their attack in the south might have been somewhat successful if we hadn't shifted those infantry troops. Meanwhile, it looks like there might be some empty trenches down here. Let's go ahead and get the 3rd Brigade and shift the line here. Maybe we can flank the enemy. See if we can take possession of some of those trenches. The actual objective's way back here. I'm really surprised the AI deployed their troops so far forward. I'm going to order those troops to fall back. 1st Division is still moving into position slowly, while the enemy's deployment of that brigade forward here, I think, has maybe compromised their position on their right flank. I'm hopeful. 3rd Brigade was largely undamaged in this little fight down here, so if we can get in the enemy positions and the enemy works here, we can flank their line and move north. They may have pulled a Sickles here by charging forward at our troops and opening up a weak spot. Although there looks like there's a 2nd trench line back here. There could be troops in there. We'll find out. So far, about 650 enemy casualties against 181 of ours. 2 formations have about equal numbers of men. Let's deploy some skirmishers here from the 17th Mass. And go ahead and deploy on this fence line here. Meanwhile, my troops to the north are still coming into position slowly but surely. Hey guys, don't just show your flank to the enemy, okay? Okay. These guys are in earthworks 1st New Hampshire's not going to fare well against them unless the enemy doesn't have muskets and can't shoot back, which is actually a possibility. But we do have troops coming down behind the enemy lines, unless their line sort of refuses back. Meanwhile, our flanking brigade, the 3rd Brigade, is engaging some enemy troops over here. Nice, we routed the 36th North Carolina. Alright, so I'm going to try a double envelopment. I'm hoping there's no troops here in a second line up higher on the hill, because if there are, I'm going to be exposing my flank to them. It's kind of funny that the cavalry is holding the center of my line. This isn't new someone. This is Grand Tactician, the Civil War. It's been out for a while. The DLC is newish. It's only a few months old. And in the DLC, it kind of introduces sort of a role-playing game element to the game. Alright, these guys are engaging the 1st North Carolina. I don't think the 1st North Carolina has the range to fight us with their weapons. That would seem to be the case. We're going to get our troops into this wood line here. I'm not sure which brigade these guys are a part of, but let's move those regiments down. Meanwhile, the 4th Brigade is kind of already in the rear of the enemy lines, so we'll move them past this creek and keep pushing up into the rear of the enemy position so we can actually do something with our positioning and engage them. We're a little bit broken up here by the terrain in the north. Are enemy troops higher up on the hill, but it looks like a chunk of them at least are. Right, these guys are the rear of the double line, so we're going to put them to guard our flank against any enemy position flanking movement that might come down our line. It does look like there's a Georgia regiment out here maneuvering in the woods, so we don't know what might be up on these higher up on these hills. As this brigade moves in, some of these enemy troops have moved out into the open, out of their trench line, perhaps in an effort to reach us. Let's form up in a single line, and then we're going to push on their front while we hit on their flank with the other brigade. Oh yeah, there's a full enemy brigade up here we have not fought yet. But they're not in these earthworks, as far as I can tell. I don't know that one regiment will hold against them, so we'll actually deploy a 2nd regiment up here. So we'll have 2 regiments against 3. First brigade's deploying into a single line. Let's go ahead and push against the enemy front. Meanwhile, the attack in the north is starting to materialize. 1st New Hampshire hasn't lost too badly. Again, they're engaging the enemy, I think, out of range. Enemy positions. Let's go ahead and move the 2nd Brigade down through this trench line. 4th Brigade is moving up through the enemy rear, but they can just turn around. There's no one attacking their front. So in theory, they can turn around and engage. So to that end, we're going to go ahead and move the 1st Brigade forward, so the enemy is caught between two positions. If you're unaware, I mentioned this earlier, but Ultimate General American Revolution is supposed to be entering early access very soon. Sounds like it's already in a closed alpha, closed beta, or whatever that is. The early access is kind of a beta, but keep seeing stuff from them in their Discord that basically it's very, very close. So these boys are going to get into that trench line. 68th is already engaged. Why it says they're being flanked. I don't know who's shooting at them from the flank. Or who's shooting at the 70th Pennsylvania from the rear. Oh, they're just not facing the right direction. Alright, go up this hill. Alright. Casualties still pretty much in our favor. The other brigades are moving forward. Second brigade's also going to push forward. One of the problems here is these troops move so slow. Which I get it. It's not easy to move troops. Like that whole... One of the really good bits, I think, in the movie Gettysburg is kind of when Buford is... They don't explain it a ton, but where Buford is explaining essentially how long it's going to take the Rebs to get a division into action. Like, it takes a long time to deploy a large number of regiments out of column into line of battle. A single regiment can do it pretty quick, but when you've got, you know, divisions, you know, tens of thousands of troops coming down a road trying to deploy them off one or two major roads, there's a reason armies use multiple avenues of advance, right? They don't all come down one road. That's why Gettysburg was so strategically, you know, historically important, is all the roads converge there. So you had 3 different corps coming down, you know, many different roads for the Rebs, you know, all converging on one point. Slightly lesser extent, that was also true of the Federals. They were mostly coming up, I think, 2 roads, but... We've got 3 regiments guarding our flank. 68th Pennsylvania is a little bit nervous. They're in some good earthworks, but they are being fired on by artillery. Let's see if we can break that arty up. We just routed an enemy regiment. I don't know who, but we routed someone. We got 25 prestige for that. Bring our cavalry brigade forward. Cavalry division forward here and try and engage the enemy also. The enemy's on the defensive, which definitely favors them, but... Are they retreating into me? This second brigade is the third brigade up here. You guys are not moving quickly enough. Well, you're the... Never mind. You're the artillery. Second brigade. That's right. I was right. Not moving quickly enough. Move through the enemy trenches. Fourth brigade is doing some pretty good work. Need to move too. One of our units just routed. I don't know why. 9th New York State Militia, go charge these reps. Both of you guys. I think these rebs are already retreating. They kind of broke up my attack, but sort of meleeed us as they were on their way through. Alright, so we are flanking them coming down from the north. I think we're achieving some success there. 68th Pennsylvania broke. We're a little bit flanked on this hillside. I'm gonna try and charge this enemy cavalry to my front. Disengaged enemy cavalry. I'll charge them with 1,000 men, maybe more. I need to break this flank. The enemy is in better position. They actually have troops up here too, which you can't see right now. Casualties are still favoring us, 1,000 to 300. Morale is slightly favoring the Rebs. They have more units routed so far, but... we're just going to charge this whole 3rd Brigade. This is risky, because we could get a whole regiment or brigade routed. But we're too clumped up here, and the enemy's got troops up on our flank too, so I need to break this unit in front of me, and then I can redeploy these 3 regiments. Also doesn't help that the Rebs definitely have the high ground advantage here. They routed one of my regiments. Not what I wanted to see. This is the problem with trying to attack in nearly equal force. Can we just retreat back here? Fall back into these trenches. I don't know that I need to try and envelop these guys on both flanks. They keep coming down the north end. I'm not going to break them with just 2 regiments. I need to redeploy these troops into this trench just to anchor my flank, and then keep pushing with the other troops in line. Cavalry division, push forward. Engage these boys to your front. Meanwhile, the 4th Brigade is still doing pretty good work. Looks like we've pretty much pushed the enemy off this line here. Third Brigade's the artillery. Let's get them into position here on this hill. This is going to be a bit of a clusterfuck, but we're effectively in the enemy rear here. Just got to push them from the front so they can't just turn around and shoot behind them. Casualties evened out a bit after all those charges. We still are inflicting 2 to 1 on them. And the enemy still has considerably more routes, and actually our morale just overtook theirs. Go charge those Georgia boys who are retreating. I don't like that it looks like it wants to just charge with the cavalry all the time. I want you guys to engage. Muskets? Not to charge? Keep pushing forward, boys. Keep as many of your regiments in contact with the enemy as possible. Inflict as many casualties on the enemy as possible while we still have our boys concentrated. Meanwhile, I'm trying to chase down the 61st Georgia, which is retreating. It would be great if we could inflict a few hundred kind of free casualties on them while they run. Kind of Total War style. Get in at them while they're retreating. Keep advancing from the north, boys. Actually, the first North Carolina out here too, which it routed earlier. Nice if we could chew both of them up with our cavalry. Let's see if this does any damage here as they retreat. Got Spencer repeaters. Doesn't look like you're doing much damage, but sometimes it kind of all comes at once and out of the blue. No, don't charge. No. I'll charge the enemy cavalry. That's fine. I hate the way the game handles dismounted cavalry, though. It's like, do you want to charge the enemy and die? The answer is no. The game will say yes. I mean, we're butchering a fair bit. Casualties are no longer 2-to-1. It's now still in our advantage, but not as dramatically as it was before. So things are evening out. I mean, we are on the offensive against nearly equal enemy forces, and things are bunching up here. So it's not going as well as I would like. That cavalry charge just got driven back with heavy loss. Are these guys technically being flanked? By who? There's no one behind you. I don't like that it says, it has the little red indicator here that it says it's acting like there's enemy troops behind you. And that cavalry charge routed. So that was foolish. So Butler's cavalry is going to get shredded, although these guys are at least inflicting heavy casualties in the melee with the enemy. 37 casualties inflicted there. So with these routed cavalry units, the enemy, the battle is switching back over from a victory to a defeat at the moment. These 3 regiments are in trenches, which sucks. More casualties. They are doing the work. Now it's back to a minor victory. Did we rout one of these guys? We did. Oh, by the way, how's the cavalry chase going? We charge these boys. Look like you did much damage to them, but they at least are running, so keep them running. Keep pushing from the north, boys. Right, we just routed that enemy artillery. We're going to bring these boys up. Again, the troops in the north are doing the work. They're the ones that are pushing this success so far. It is, what time? It's only 10 o'clock. This game has a weird sense of time. Give me Iron Will or something. Cold Steel, I guess. Alright. Charge from 2 flanks. Maybe we'll overrun this cavalry brigade, but we did rout one of these infantry units out front. My troops attacking across this open terrain toward this enemy. These 3 regiments in these trenches are getting shredded. Abram Dury's regiment has lost almost half of its men. casualty situation here now. Still about 1,000 in our favor. All right, so a bit of a mixed bag so far. We've suffered some adversity in the south on this battle and on our left flank. Nothing disastrous. We're still holding our position there, but we did have several regiments repulsed. Meanwhile, in the north, we've fairly effectively broken the enemy left flank. Not sure if the enemy is going to refuse their position or what they're going to do. This is tough terrain to attack across, but certainly a battle that is in flux at the moment, can go either way. Definitely favoring me at the moment, but we'll see how that plays out as this battle unfolds. Without further ado, though, this is a longer battle, so we're going to split this into 2 parts. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this episode up here. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Please leave your thoughts down below. And until next time, this is the Historical Gamer saying thanks for watching, and I'm out. Bye-bye.